as a result of this impact on the human capital development. Overall, we are looking at strengthening our financial management and sustainability. We want to completely move from depending on the government or budgetary allocations to become self-sufficient. We are looking at handling internally our OPEX and CAPEX expenditures. We are looking at expanding the networks. We are looking at improving overall supply to the large customers. We are looking at setting up various centers of excellence to enable us to engage our large customers in a very professional manner. We are looking at having the energy management systems that will be able to seamlessly interact with our big customers to understand their energy demand and requirements and understand at what period do they do their production and see how we can best align and help you to achieve your objective. We just want to add value to your business. We just want to contribute to the overall GDP of our country, Sierra Leone. We want to see how you can produce your goods and services at a much cheaper rate. We want to see that impact upon the economy. We, as the President, His Excellency, in the retreat in November last year, he talked about the energy sovereignty. The energy sovereignty is not just, it's a whole sum of programs by the government that also has the slogan EDSA. So there's no part of the economy of our country, Sierra Leone, that really break even without adequate infrastructure, which energy is a key pillar of. So it's a call for all of us, especially the large customers. Let's come together, look at the shortcomings of EDSA, and let's see where your feedback can help us to improve our sustainability. So overall can be stronger and reliable network for the country. So I will ask, the question in your mind now will be, what are the impacts of these reforms on the large customers? Number one is you have improved reliability on the network because we are looking at creating dedicated feeders for the large customers on the 33 kV category of energy, so you have a more reliable energy supply. And then we also look at enhancing our billing and metering efficiency. We are looking at setting our meter to enable you have monitor your real-time energy management and consumption by apps and other technologies we are trying to bring in. This will help you remotely on a real-time basis monitor your consumption from any part of the world, and also when there's any anomaly, engage the EDSA staff on this. That means we are creating also special account managers for the T4 customers. So it's like this real-time, both virtual and physical center of excellence for customer service. So we are looking at overall enhancement of your customer experiences. So at the center of the reforms is the T4 customer. And why we look at ramping up our revenues, because you represent a large percentage of our revenues. We also look at what value can we add to these distinguished customers. So I look at there's then the opportunity to collaborate. We have presently over 100 transformers. The purpose of procuring transformers is to enable us connect the big customers. We want to take that investment from you, want to take that risk from you, because we are the experts in energy management. We want to do your load analysis, we want to do your load balancing, we want to do your energy efficiency as well. We want to help your procurement of equipment so that you get energy efficient equipment. We are working with the regulator to see how we can have the best practice, how we can standardize all imported electrical equipment and tools in the country. So in the era of going green, we need efficient equipment and tools in the country. And overall, the reform program is in phases. We have started with upgrading our substation. We have started already prioritizing our lines to serve you. We are dedicating some feeders. This will take some time and to have an impact upon you. So, as I conclude, the purpose of this retreat is to engage you and let you know that in the coming days we'll have our teams in the field. They will come to your premises to ask questions. Please give them the feedback. They will want to look at your meter. Please give them the support. It's just to assess the meter to make sure the accuracy. There are a lot of complaints. There have been a lot of issues of overbilling or underbilling. Also on your side, there's issues where you don't pay. There are cases of bypass. There are cases of outright confrontation with the EDSA staff. There's the issue of some customers out of anger left the grid. The purpose of this forum is to have all these things regularized and let us have a very fruitful relationship. And as the overall objective, it is the Ministry of Energy and have the mandate of the overall, the President himself. He is the Minister of Energy, so they run the vision. We try to align to this vision, but in the center to this vision is to have the T4 customers served in a very impressive manner. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much.
Can we put our hands together once more for our CEO for his presentation? Thank you, sir. Of course, the CEO in his presentation did outline the EDSA challenges, just like I said in my media statement for opening remarks. And indeed, there are challenges. Of course, he touched on the reforms, which he noted some key thematic areas, and indeed the impact also of the reforms. And like I said, the T4 customers, I mean the big businesses, the hotels, the factories, bigger institutions, I mean they form part of these T4 customers. Of course, he said the customers are at the center of these reforms. You are the center of these reforms so that you can also, this can help you to enhance your business performance and also add value to the work of EDSA or the energy sector as a whole. So on that note, I will call on our next presenter, who will be on EDSA statement from EDSA board chairman, who is not only a person but engineer and locally. We have the podium, sir.
Honorable Deputy Minister, of invited guests, our esteemed customers, I am very thrilled to be given this opportunity to talk to you. I know it's probably not a very good period, especially when we have some constraints in power provision and made some announcements. However, I think it's good to be honest. And one thing that I stressed to EDSA staff when we took over was, let's be honest with our consumers, because we need to engage them. And this is an opportunity of talking to you high-end customers. We know that the tariff structure varies, and you guys are right at the top. You're bearing the brunt of the tariff payments. There is a little bit of cross-subsidization of low-level consumers, and we appreciate that. However, I think there are things that we need to talk from the heart, and it's a symbiotic relationship. I've been asked to talk about the role of Sierra Leoneans in electricity reform. I'd like to say the role of Sierra Leoneans is the role of stakeholders, because there are some stakeholders who are not Sierra Leoneans. As you know, the stakeholders are very varied in the sector. We have the government. The government provides oversight for us. There are government entities like the Ministry of Finance and related entities that are involved in power provision. There are energy providers. Now we have IPPs. There are consumers of various sorts. One rank is yourself. Our development partners are still providing funds for EDSA, especially as regards expansion of the network and a few other things in the sector. So we are grateful to them. So we need to know about the needs of the various and the perspectives of the various stakeholders. As far as we're concerned, the development partners want us to increase the access to electricity. At 36% now is unacceptable. We reckon that by 2030 we should be heading for 80%. You guys who are here want electricity for your businesses, be it commercial or industrial. And you have special needs. You want uninterrupted electricity. You want it for your business. The general consumer wants lighting at his house. We all know about the economic benefits of electricity. So it's a diverse list of stakeholders in the sector. But the stakeholders agree on certain needs. Number one, I don't think there is anybody in Sierra Leone here, or even you, who are not Sierra Leonean, that does not agree that we need to increase access. You cannot live in a country with 36% access to electricity, so that needs to happen. Number two, we also need affordability. At whatever level you are, you have to pay for electricity. Everybody knows that when you run diesel generators is a lot more, but we should do something to look at the tariff. You also want efficiency. The epileptic supply is unacceptable, and we admit that. So let's take some time to just look at quickly the current state of EDSA and talk about how you can help. The CEO has told you about the high cost of energy. We are getting a lot of our energy from electricity from IPPs, and some of them are pumped. When you get from a thermal power supply, it's very expensive. You try to generate by yourself with a thermal supply, it's very expensive. We are lucky to have Bunguna, which is seasonal. We're also lucky that some IPPs now are solar, so that is more cheaper, but we need to increase those. We're lucky that we have programs coming on board to bring in much more solar supplies like the Kamakwe project, like the Respite project. So in the medium term, there's a little bit of hope of looking at these things. But in the short term, let me admit to you that it's expensive for us. Every day when I ask our CFO, we pay for electricity. And it's expensive paying IPPs. We either pay IPPs or actually paying the debts that we've taken to be able to pay these IPPs. So our situation is not easy. People talk about EDSA's frivolity. I told somebody yesterday, I said, of the revenue we collect, only 12% of that revenue goes towards running EDSA. We only pay salaries for last month today. So I can't tell you a lie, we're living in a very difficult position. We also have high losses, the CEO has mentioned, but we have losses as high as 50%, commercial and technical. The moribund distribution system, transformers and breakers and whatever, somebody said it will take EDSA $50 million to be able to sort out its present conditions. We don't have that kind of money. So we have these losses in the lines. We have losses also that are commercialized, caused by ourselves and our consumers. Poor billing practices, poor metering, collusion with customers. Customers also stealing electricity. We had studies done recently, pilot studies by Tetra Tech and Leone, and the number of consumers that are bypassing meters, the number of high-end customers that are stealing electricity, the number of our own people that are colluding is high. So it's a big problem. We have problems of the electric supply. We can't even synchronize our units properly, and we can't frequent treatment. We know that these problems can be sorted out. We have problems of poor responsiveness of our own people. We make a call and they don't answer, and they don't follow. We know about that. We have problems of high indebtedness. We have to pay people. IPPs, and so on. Theft, vandalization. You cannot believe that people destroy transformers to be able to take copper elements from it and use in their industries. But there are some vandalizations that are actually out of malice. Dr. Yunkela and the Deputy Minister, when they paid a visit to Keleba, and you'll be surprised at how many of our infrastructure are deliberately damaged by people. We are living in this kind of situation with no money, all of these problems, and then we want to get our access from 36 to 80%. At the same time, everybody wants electricity. We know we value you guys. We always say when we have a shortage of electricity, prioritize the high-end customers because they, at least most of them are paying, and secondly, we need money to be able to pay. So why do we have reforms? Reforms can help. It's said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I've been in the power sector from 25 years ago, whatever, when we ran NPA. Since then, we have had management contractors, we have had money poured in by the World Bank, EU, and other donors. Since then, we've unbundled the sector. The results have not been spectacular. We still have problems. So why do we need to reform? We need to reform because we want to have increased access to electricity. We want efficient access to electricity. And also we want EDSA to be sustainable. Tesman, the CEO, has told you about what is being done. The PSP, the private sector participation, is a big part of that. And since 2000, we've been talking about meaningful private sector participation. By January, we think if everything works out, we'll have a major player that will come to run EDSA. They will look strictly at staff, they'll make some modest investment, and they'll have a long-term concession. The needs of the Sierra Leone government will be looked at because we own our assets. They will have KPIs to keep to. That is not to say that I think that all of EDSA's problems will be sorted out. The other reforms also, and it's unfortunate that the MCC seems to be in doubt, but there are other projects that may come, is to expand the network, expand the transmission line so that we have a transmission backbone. There are various things that they want to do with distribution, and these things need to take place. But they will be done in a systematic way. We need to bring these losses down. You can't have an electricity utility that loses 50% of its power. So there's every reason to have these changes. These changes will come with them more technology. They will come with them a stricter relationship to customers. If the private sector man comes, he doesn't care whether you have some government contact or whatever. Anybody that does not pay will be disconnected, including government consumers. Everybody will be disconnected. We're going to run it like a proper outfit. And the government is very committed to this. So there is need for collaboration amongst ourselves. There is need for a team effort. I appeared on 98.1 last week, and I was misquoted as saying that everybody steals electricity. What I really meant by that is every class of stakeholder has people that steal electricity. From you high-end customers, a lot of you are honest and deal with us well, but some of you collude with our own people. To low-end customers in Bay Area, they steal electricity, they have. Commercial customers steal electricity, the welders, other people steal electricity. We know that. Our own people also willingly collaborate to steal electricity. There are poor practices within EDSA, we admit. We are not oblivious of that fact. If we do not sort out those problems, we won't get increased access, we won't sort out our financial problems, we won't lead the sector to sustainability. Now here are some examples that we need for you. We need to avoid these bad practices of stealing electricity. We need to report on issues of vandalism. In fact, EDSA proposes to have a whistleblowing policy very soon. We need you to pay your bills on time. We need also to wield out our own road workers. We need to practice safe practices. As you know about the incidences of houses getting burned down. Everybody blames EDSA, but they forget that it takes two to tango. EDSA has its own problems, overloaded transformers, poor electricity, and so on. But the consumers are supposed to wire their houses using certified electricians. How many people do that? Some people connect strongly to transformers and to systems, to other people's meters, without EDSA's oversight. So it's a whole big problem. I've looked at the quality assurance department in EDSA, and I think we need to do more work in that area. But EDSA, with all of these things, we are hampered. We get money from donors, right? We do. Expansion and so on. But what reform do you take place? I'm coming from the private sector. You have an ailing industry. You want that industry to turn around, but then you don't want to put money in. We don't get money from government for that. The private sector comes in, they run their own programs, expansion and so on. EDSA even has problems getting vehicles to follow up on various things. So we need an infusion of capital. That's why I welcome the PSP. Also, we need safe practices. We need to keep to regulations. We have regulations laid down. Many people are not keeping to it. Now to end, how would I like to see a model stakeholder and a model utility, which EDSA wants us to be? Number one, for stakeholders, you need to pay your bills. You need to avoid illegal actions, including connections. You need to engage more with us, which we have started, and we're sorry that we've not been doing this very well. We need to keep to regulations that are laid out. For us as a utility, we have a long list of things we need to do, and we cannot do some of these without help. But we need to create increased access. We need to make sure that electricity is affordable. We need to look at the tariff structure. We need to look at the efficiency of our operation. And we need to improve on our responsiveness to consumers. And we need also to be good at public information and practice safe practices. As you know, this is a fairly tall order, but we are committed to doing that. In conclusion, I'd like to welcome you and state that you are our valued partners. In these discussions, let us be honest with each other and lay bare the problems. I have told my people, and when they are appearing on radio, I said, don't sugarcoat things. Tell people as it is. Let us be honest. I believe in technical issues, if you tell somebody what the problem is, he'll be angry with you. But later on, when he goes and sits down and thinks about it, you can reach a point of consensus. We learn from each other, and let us all behave like modern citizens in this country, as stakeholders, and I thank you as our major stakeholders of being present here today, and I look forward to fruitful deliberations. I thank you.
Thank you, our able chairman, chairman for the EDSA Board of Directors. Of course, in his statement, for me, he touched on something that I penned down as he outlined the need for the reforms, the current reforms that EDSA is going through, which I don't want to bore you with again. And of course, he called out for change of attitude, which I think does not only stop with our customers, but also the EDSA workers. Of course, I mean, it's not a hidden secret that we have rogue EDSA workers, but we hope and pray they will change their attitude whilst the reform is ongoing. And to the customers, the chairman also touched on regards buying our recharge cards or top-ups. Let us do, let's discourage the culture of theft, electricity theft. That's what we want to have at all. if we say EDSA is going through a reform. So on that note, I want to thank you, Chairman, once more for your statement. At this point now, I'll call on our able Deputy Minister of Energy 1. Okay, sorry. Sorry to inform you that there's a slight change to the agenda. There will be a presentation by the Acting Chief Financial Officer, whose name is Mr. Matthew Abu Matia, to come and touch or speak on financial transactions at EDSA. Mr. Matia, you have the floor.
Honorable Minister, our invited guests, especially our valued customers, it's a great opportunity to have a moment with you all. The name is Matthias Abu Matia, just a slight correction. This was a brief slide change on the program because just want to make some few highlights on the financial processes at EDSA, because we need to have a direct flow of information, especially to streamline our processes where there are challenges, we have that clarification. So I will talk briefly about I won't go again into the challenges you have from the chairman, the acting director general, the challenge EDSA go through in terms of buying power. As it's now part of the CFO, you're going to always make trade-off decisions, managing the paying for the power as well as to keep operations going, because the space is very tight. So I won't go into that. I will briefly go on the financial points of sales transactions. So we have the prepaid front, the postpaid, and the illegal abstraction of energy recovery. So from these three forms, you have where the financial pot flows. And other than that, it's not valid. No staff is entitled to even have any direct financial flow of transaction. So let me start with the bankers. We have, with recent deployments now, if you can look on your bills, you can see that EDSA Bank are clearly stated on the bills. What that means, you should strictly go based on the 4 banks listed on your bills. That's where you should pay your bill. We have Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, Eco Bank, and United Bank for Africa. They are clearly stated on all bills. It's a recent deployment. So you don't need a staff, somebody to give you the BBAN or EDSA account number. Just look on your bill, on the right side of the bill. That's one of the developments. So those are the financial points of transaction. You need to have all payments being made to those bank accounts, especially for the postpaid customer that receive bills. Same for the energy recovery. When you are being caught, it's not somebody say bring the money, you are to be given a designated bank account that should be on that bill. Ensure you use those processes. The next, for the prepaid front, we have the aggregators and the EDSA cashiers. For the aggregators, the telecom, we have Orange Money, AfriMoney, QCell. And for the non-telecom, you have Ventec, Daika, Massy, and Links. These are the official aggregators we use, and we do our best, even if 12 midnight, to ensure that these aggregators accounts are well funded, to ensure if even it's middle of the night you want to buy EDSA recharge, you can do it, be it with Orange Money, because it's the 24-hour availability of the service. Same goes to the non-telecom, the Ventec. These are the official points you can buy power from. For the EDSA cashiers, in Freetown we have the head office, Shaka Stephen Street, Godrich, Lacour Road, Wellington. And for the provinces we have Bo, Kenema, and Makeni. So these are the EDSA designated interface that you should hand your financial transaction money with. So the next side of it now, there are a bit of processes challenges because every customer wants, if you are prepaid, when you pay your money, you want to have your units. A postpaid customer, when you pay for your bills, you want to see that payment reflected on your account or your balance being netted off. So part of the development at EDSA, we've made integrations with our banks. And all the 4 banks listed on your bills, they are integrated with EDSA system. What I mean, once you use the integration at the bank, your account is automatically credited at EDSA. So you don't even need to come to EDSA saying, I've paid, they haven't credited me. So this is the education you need. On those 4 banks listed on your bills, we advise the use of same bank. If a customer is banking with any of our bankers, the best is use same bank. If you are with your commercial bank, you are banking with them, use that same bank to process your payments. You will see the EDSA bank details there. And 2 key information needed for the bank. Your EDSA, who you see account number, and your customer name. If you have a relationship person, tell them, I want you to use the EDSA integration. And with that, the bank should give you a receipt that has both the bank name and the EDSA logo on that receipt. Once you get that, your account is automatically credited. If you're going to have your next bill, you're going to see that payment reflected. So in an event, you don't use it, that's the start of the challenge, where you start complaining, you're making payments and not reflected on your bills. So these are some of the step process you can use to manage that. But the first is ensure you use the interface, same bank. The other bank, if you are doing other bank, like we are not banking with broker, you are remitting your funds from broker. There are still some challenge with the payment switch where in these other banks, it's difficult for the banks to use the integration. But once you, again, we want the money. Once you use those options, let us have the evidences, because the challenge mostly on a daily basis, when you look at EDSA bank statement, you see inward credits, inward sweeps, inward, no further description. Even you using other bank, if there's a way, tell the cashiers to use your customer account number and your name. That will help the reconciliation officers to ensure that your account is credited. So in an event you use other bank, we'll see inward credit. Let us have the evidence of your payment, be it your instruction that it was this hotel that paid, this is your instruction, they will ensure your account is credited. So before you have your next bill, you will see your payment reflected. I think that's one of the big gap challenge with the customers. So I've explained those are the financial process, and yes, so I think I will stop here and I say thank you all. I encourage you all to pay your bills on time and ensure to follow the process. Thank you.
Thank you for acting CFO, Matthias Abu Matia. In his statement, of course, what announced is EDSA is indeed making efforts in financial limit to promote transparency and accountability in all transactions. That shows the reform vehicle has started moving. And by God's grace, I know we will arrive safely. So at this point, I will now call the Deputy Minister of Energy 1, Mr. Edwin Mooney, to come and make a presentation on the operations on the streets 2025 operations. Day 1, they have the podiums.
Thank you very much, DS. Welcome again to our town hall to talk to you. I see a lot of very serious faces in the crowd. And of course, the electricity business, we all take it seriously. I remember when I first started, one of my first experiences where I realized the extent to which my own reputation, they hang on it with the work of it. I go find my friend, and he gets small picking, I think about 3 years old. So when I reached the lights not be there, but fortunately, it not take 15 minutes, 9 lights come. Also me call, just the dog. But as lights come, 9 begin holler, Uncle Edmond, Uncle Edmond. I say, hey, this is not taken seriously, so I'll get to get back in. Thank you very much for you guys joining us today. In as much as it's a serious topic, what we called you for really is to have a conversation. It's a back and forth. It's an opportunity for us to tell you where we are, where we want to go, and how we all can get there together in a mutual partnership and for all of our mutual benefits and for the continued development of our country. As you know, EDSA has its challenges, but EDSA is the utility that we have, and it's the entity that we have to engage with for all of us to get electricity. Engineer Kylie has very well outlined the challenges that we face. So what I'll be talking to you about today is what we have planned for us to address some of those challenges. In April of this year, we had a meeting with His Excellency the President, who is the current Minister of Energy, and the topic came up of EDSA. And he gave us the directive to look at the gaps and the issues that EDSA has, and for us to present to him a plan for us to address these issues. The first thing we did was to look at all of the studies that we've done on EDSA and the electricity sector. We've been fortunate to benefit from funding from multiple donors in order to look into the various issues that we have. So we looked at the Tetra Tech Power Sector Reform Study, we looked at the Deloitte EDSA Revenue Protection Study, we looked at EDSA's internal audit reports, and we looked at the EDSA Loss Reduction Study from the Danish Energy Agency. From those studies, our key findings in the commercial department was that EDSA continues to be a utility with a significant amount of losses. In 2020, we had 60%, 2021, 52, 2022, 51, 2023, 40, and now, based on various issues, we've started to tick back up gradually. But the work that we're going to be doing moving forward should help us go back down. Some of the highlights or some of the good stories that are coming out of the sector is that we've invested a lot in the grid, especially at the 33 kV level, which was mentioned by the COO. We've expanded our evacuation capacity. Now what that means is the amount of electricity that we can deliver to the city. It was at 65 megawatts, now it's 130 megawatts. So this is more than double the power that we had initially, and this will help us get more electricity to you at the bulk level. We still have problems with distribution at the 11 kV level, but those are problems that we'll continue to look at and continue to work on. Through funding from the World Bank, we rehabilitated or built 5 new primary substations, and we've installed over 100 new transformers. And we have now access in our possession now 1,200 smart meters, bulk smart meters from the World Bank, which we intend to install at your premises. So, based on those findings, we took the decision to approach the problem based on 3 pillars. Number 1, we want to use more data and information and make sure we're taking decisions that are based on reliable information that we can act on. Number 2, we're going to take more steps to protect the network. And number 3, we're going to take steps to enhance revenue collection at EDSA. So around data-driven insights, as I mentioned, the World Bank has given us funding, and we've procured 1,250 smart meters, bulk smart meters. Some of you already have some of those smart meters. Admittedly, some of those meters had calibration or settings, issues with the settings. So as COO mentioned, there have been instances of overbilling, there have been instances of underbilling. So what we're going to do moving forward with these smart meters is go to your locations and make sure that if you have a smart meter, it's calibrated properly so you won't have any issues. If you don't have a smart meter, we'll still be coming to you with the smart meter. Another step that we're taking with these smart meters, we're looking at how we can change the settings to make them prepaid, or if need be, bring a replacement bulk smart meter that's prepaid. The other step that we're taking is we have multiple IPPs. We're going to ensure that we have sensors at the IPP locations, so we have data coming from those IPP locations, which will inform us how much electricity we have to work with in real time. We're also putting smart sensors across the grid at all of the substations. So then that also informs us we've procured 120 megawatts. We've sent 20 megawatts to Aberdeen substation. And so we expect revenue from the Aberdeen area to be this amount based on the amount of electricity that we've allocated there. And the third step, as I mentioned, we're going to be engaging with you to install new smart meters at your locations. On the area of protecting the network is exposed to various risks or various issues. We have climate change and an aging network, as mentioned by the chairman and the COO. And we're going to be looking at how we can replace various components in the network. So we're also going to establish a network operations center that is digital. So right now there's a lot of manual operation of our service delivery. Communication between substations are done by phone calls between substation managers. Communications from load dispatch to substations are done by phone calls. But what we're working on now to establish a network operations center will give us a digital interface where we'll see in real time how we're distributing and managing the electricity. The other work that we'll be doing is installing anti-vandalism sensors at transformers. We have a lot of vandalism on our transformers and other assets. So we'll be installing sensors so we can immediately see when someone has intruded, and we should be able to mobilize a response from the Sierra Leone police and also community partners. We're in conversation with the Ministry of Youth Affairs to see how we can sensitize the youth in all of our communities to ensure that someone is there to work with us to look over our assets. Because at the end of the day, in as much as the transformers and EDSA assets, if someone vandalizes a transformer in your area, you are the first person to suffer. So we want the community to work with us. And the final step we're taking around protecting the network is establishing the EDSA fast-track courts. So this is an initiative that's been championed by the chairman, Chairman Kylie, as well as Dr. Kanda Yunkela, have been working with the Attorney General's office to create a fast-track court specifically for electricity crimes. Now, this fast-track courts, we're not just looking outward and saying it's the fault of the community, it's the fault of our customers. We're also looking inward. So there are more stringent punishments that we're going to direct at everyone found guilty of electricity abstraction. That includes our staff. So any member of staff that's found to be participating in the enablement of electricity transaction, they will be culpable, as well as the customer who is also participating. On the third step, around enhancing our revenue collection, according to our records, we have around $23 million of arrears in the market. So we hold that amount of money, by various people, and that's specifically for large and medium-sized customers. But of course, with any debts recovery or debts analysis process, we have to be fair. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking to you today, because we don't want our approach to you and our engagements to come as a surprise. We want it to be organized, we want it to be fair, it's not a witch hunt. We will sit with you and try and understand. Maybe there's been some instances of overbilling on our side. Maybe there's something that we're missing that you can bring to our notice or to our understanding. We want to ensure that if we do have on our record some sort of arrears that anyone has to pay, that it's something that we do in a collaborative manner. We're not going out there to attack anybody. The other thing that we're going to work on is to abolish what we call credit assignments or unnecessary credit assignments. There have been a lot of credit assignments that we see in our records where it's very unclear whether there have been corresponding payments that match those credit assignments. So as much as possible, we're not going to be operating on credits moving forward. Obviously, if there's an instance who overpaid us, we'll see how we can reconcile and we'll make sure that we're fair to you. And the other area that we're working on is the development of what we call a single collection account that will be managed by an independent agency. This is all being done to make sure that billing, collections, engagement with you is being done professionally, and that we can protect our revenues from some of the gaps and issues that we faced in the past. To do this takes money. As Chairman has said, we have various indications that we need at least $50 million to fully solve this program. But what we've been able to raise so far, between funding from the World Bank and also funding that EDSA has been able to secure from Syrian Commercial Bank, is $11.5 million. So over the next 6 months, we're going to be using that money to buy cranes, vehicles, distribution transformers, set up a network operations center, set up equipment protection and performance sensors, and do as much as we can with that amount of finance. Now, there's something called the Pareto principle, which says 20% of the work that you do 20% of the work that you do results in 80% of your results in a lot of instances. The T4 customers are important to us because, based on our analysis, T4 make up around 700 to 1,000 of our 350,000 customers, but you make up around 45 to 50% of our revenue. So you're significantly overrepresented based on the numbers that we're dealing with. So you are a high priority for us. We want to give you that prioritization. As COO has mentioned, some of the things that we'll be doing is looking at how we can work with you to understand if you're a factory, what are your production timings, and can we deliver stable, uninterrupted electricity to you according to your needs. What can we do to make sure that your experience with EDSA is something that is professional, that you are not facing any issues of unprofessional conduct or misconduct by our staff, and that we should be partners to your business. It's very clear that for most companies, for most businesses in Syria, energy costs make up over 60% of your running costs. So if we can make your lives easier by prioritizing you and making sure that we're delivering low-cost, reliable electricity to you, this will help make your businesses better, and that's what we aim to do. And I think that's the end of this presentation. There's going to be an opportunity for Q&A, but we're going to do it after the presentation. So if you have any questions on the presentation I just did, I hope you noted them down and you can ask them once this next presentation is done. I'm actually doing this particular presentation on behalf of Dr. Kanye Nkela, who is the sector lead, he's the energy sector lead, and he acts instead of His Excellency the President on a day-to-day basis as the Minister of Energy. So what this presentation is going to go through is the work that we have already done and the work that we continue to do to improve the energy situation. One thing that we have accepted is that energy is far from what we want it to be as a government, and it's far from what you deserve as our people. That being said, there's been a lot of work that our predecessors have done that we are continuing and completing now. There's work that we are also initiating now and seeing through, and there's a lot that will be done before or within the term of His Excellency President Leone. So I'm going to go through some of this. The general context of Sierra Leone, I think all of us know. We know where we are as a country, we know what our GDP is, His Excellency is in his second term, and we are really driving our main pillars is the Big Five, with feeds alone as the centerpiece, but human capital development, youth employment, revamping this public sector, and tech and infrastructure are very important areas of our work right now. And energy is important for all of those pillars. So this is something that's extremely important to this is something that's extremely important to the President and to the administration. So, for all of us, maybe a reminder for most of you in this room, the energy sector is composed of the Ministry of Energy as the line ministry, and then under the ministry you have the Electricity, Water and Regulation Commission, and EWRC really, we're empowering EWRC to have a stronger role in monitoring EDSA, monitoring EDTC, and properly regulating the sector. And I'll talk more. One major role that EWRC will be playing in future, as Engineer Kylie mentioned, we're currently going through the process of privatizing EDSA. The privatization of EDSA will not be complete, we think, until Q1 2026, so anywhere from January to March. In the meantime, the work that I mentioned is going to be ongoing. But even when privatization is in place, EWRC is an important actor because EWRC determines the tariff. When the private sector company takes over, they cannot, at the drop of a hat, decide that, oh, tariff is going to be increased now to this amount. They have to apply to the EWRC as the regulator, and EWRC will approve or deny any changes in tariff. So I want to reassure you that even though you hear that EDSA is going to be privatized, that it doesn't mean that in the coming months or by next year you're going to see a huge hike in your prices. Any change in tariff is going to be done collaboratively, and any change in tariff is going to be completely managed by EWRC and the government to make sure that it's done in an organized way and that it's fair to all parties. And then under EWRC is EDSA and EGTC. In terms of our reform programs, we've done a lot of work over the last 6 to 7 years. We've launched the EDSA privatization process, which, as I mentioned, will be done by next year. We've established, or we're currently finalizing the single collection account, which we hope will be operational within Q3 we secured the MCC grant. The MCC grant is going through some, I would say, restructuring. There's different departments of the US government that funding may be going to, and they may be continuing with that, but in a new form. That being said, we're also developing a new compact, which is called the Mission 300 Compact with African Development Bank and the World Bank. But Dr. Yukela and His Excellency the President will announce that in due time. And we've already developed a green transition plan to transition Sierra Leone from high use of fossil fuels to more green energy, solar and hydro. And the Sierra Leone Mineral Wealth Fund has been established, which will also be investing in primary infrastructure, and energy is one of those areas of investment. Where we are currently is there is 36% access to electricity for our people. 6% of that is in the rural sector. So 6% of our rural people have access, and 51% of urban dwellers have access. And the current installed capacity is 250 megawatts. 36% of that is renewable, and 64% of that is fossil fuels. According to the National Electrification Strategy, 75% of the population has access at least costs. Now, these numbers, I think, are important for all of us. The electricity that we'll need by 2035 is 200 megawatts for our agricultural sector, 1,000 megawatts for our mining sector, 300 megawatts for our consumer, our households, and 100 megawatts for our commercial customers, of which a lot of you are sitting today. So, there's an elephant in the room. As you all know, the government of Sierra Leone is in continued conversations with Power, and we do not view our relationship with Power as an adversarial relationship or a relationship that we have issues with per se. It was a commercial engagement which was made at a time where it was necessary. Since we started working with them in 2018, we've paid Power $320 million. Currently, we owe them, this is outside of the 320 that we paid, we owe them 70 million. We're in discussions with them for a payment plan of that 70 million. If we continue to keep them as a partner, we're going to incur another 200 million over the next 3 years. And if they shut down, as is being discussed, if they shut down today, based on the sources that we have at our disposal, it will only result in a 15% reduction of the electricity that we can provide to Freetown. So as it is somewhat today, we have, for Freetown, we can provide 48 megawatts of hydro in the rainy season and 8 megawatts of hydro in the dry season. And we were taking 25 megawatts from Power in the rainy season and 65 megawatts in the dry season. Where we want to move to is to have Bumbuna at 48 megawatts in the rainy season. We're currently building a 105 megawatts gas power plant. That will be completed by 2027. CLSG is currently supplying 20 megawatts to Freetown. And within the next 2 weeks, we're doing a new procurement process for another 100 megawatts in Freetown, where we are creating new power stations that didn't exist before. So we're building a new power station in Longley, we're building a new power station in Wellington, and a new power station in Kissing. The reason why we're doing this distributed power station is that right now, all of the electricity comes from Kingston and goes as far as Waterloo and as far as Sussex. So, given our network, the further electricity has to travel, the more electricity we're going to use. But the closer the generation, the power stations are to the areas that they're supplying, the less electricity that we're going to lose in the lines. It also means that if there's any issue with any one generator, we have 3 other locations that can provide contingencies. This is all being done by us to make sure that you have more reliable power and that it's as uninterrupted as possible. So as of last night, we were operating on 72 megawatts. We hope that we can continue to talk to Car Power so that as we transition to new options, it can be done smoothly and not without any chaos. But if we cannot do that, then we already tested last night the options that we have available to us. And the options are Omuna, CLSG, and the King Tom generators. So between those 3 sources, we can currently deliver around 57 megawatts to Freetown. As I mentioned, we are working with, right now with Car Power, it's around 70, 72. So the loss in electricity will not be massive. And to put this in context, in I think February of this year, we were delivering around 55, 57 megawatts to Freetown. And in as much as we were load shedding, as we are load shedding now, there wasn't a massive crisis like there was last year when essentially the entire city went off during the dry season in March of last year. So we would like to be able to deal with our IPPs in a fair manner. We understand where Car Power is coming from. $70 million owed to them is not small money. On our side also, $320 million that has been paid to them is also not small money. So we hope that both of us can discuss amicably and be able to engage and figure out what the next steps for our working relationship will be together amicably. So that's where we are. And one thing that I will hasten to say is that with the various projects that we're working on, we've now given ourselves a target to make sure that Sierra Leone has sustainable, long-term, 24-hour electricity for Freetown by 2027 latest. We're working so that by end of 2026, the current generation will increase from 70 megawatts to 100 megawatts. If we can get that done, and we're at 100 megawatts by the end of the year, there'll be a significant reduction in blackouts. Maybe we'll go from 1 day in, 1 day out to you'll get electricity every day, but it may not be for 24 hours of the day, but you will get electricity every day. And by 2026, as I mentioned, there are various projects that are in the pipeline, well, not even in the pipeline. There are projects that have started, they're under construction, and they will meet their targets. So that by 2026, we'll get over that 100 megawatt threshold. And then the focus becomes making sure that EDSA has the revenue to be able to make the repairs to the grid and to be able to get the electricity to you. So this is just a timeline of what we have in our project plans or what we know. This is not projects as in these are ideas that we thought of and we hope that they will happen. These are ideas that have been secured, funding has been secured, and for most of them, construction has already started. So we have 100 going up to 100 megawatts in 2025. By 2026, there'll be 80 megawatts of solar from the World Bank and IFC, and then another 25 megawatts of solar from Planet Solar. And then by 2027, we'll have the gas to power plant giving us 105 megawatts. And then by 2028, there's the Congo and a few other hydro projects that we expect to come online, giving us 280 megawatts of hydro. So we're quite bullish about where the future of energy is in Sierra Leone. And so in as much as this very moment, it's not what we all want it to be, but we're very confident about where we'll be in the next 3 years. Other areas where the government is making investments are generation, transmission, distribution, and the services. For generation, we have 30 megawatts of solar power that's already installed and operating. There's another 145 megawatts of solar power under construction right now. In hydropower, we have 60 megawatts of hydropower installed. There's another 140 megawatts of hydro currently under construction. And our total hydro potential for the country is 790 megawatts. For the 790 megawatts, we've not found investors yet, but every day we continue to talk to potential partners and we continue to welcome people to have conversations with us. For transmission, we have two major transmission lines in Sierra Leone that are existing lines. We have the CLSG line that goes from north to south, and then we have the Bumbuna line that goes from Bumbuna to Freetown. We are fielding, or we're looking for investments, or we're trying to close investment for the northern transmission line from Freetown to Bumbuna, another one. And then we're also looking for funding for the southern transmission line from Freetown to Pujehun. Because the intention is that the entire country should be connected to each other. So wherever we need to send electricity, we can send electricity at any time. We're also currently working on 66 kV transmission lines. We historically haven't had any 66 kV, but there's 70 kilometers of new 66 kV lines under development now, and we require 150 kilometers total. Another project that we're working on is to connect the mining companies. All of our mining companies are not connected to the grid. We have about 10 mining companies that are in close proximity to CLSG that were not connected historically. And we're doing the work now to connect them to CLSG, and we expect that will be completed in the next 2 years. This all is being done in an effort to make EDSA more financially viable and more profitable. Because in all other countries, electricity is not a donor-funded area. And the fact that we have to go to donors shows our weakness as public sector to strengthen the utility so that the utility can make these investments on its own. So by connecting to the mining companies that do have more revenues and are looking for cheaper, high volume power, we hope that that will give EDSA the revenues to start reinvesting in its network. As the chairman has mentioned, they need a significant amount of money to invest in the distribution network. And even if donors are still going to participate, we want EDSA to be able to also invest a significant amount towards its own future. So that's one major reason why we're connecting the mining companies. We are also working with the Ministry of Agriculture to look at 8 agricultural clusters that are not connected to electricity, and figure out how to build 8 new transmission lines that will take electricity to Tomahoon and various other agricultural clusters that we have in Sierra Leone. As we mentioned, we're privatizing EDSA, and that process should be finished by next year. We currently have 350,000 customers, but we want to increase electricity access from 36% to 80%. What that means is that EDSA has to connect 400,000 more people in the next 5 years. So the 350,000 should be increased to minimum 750,000. That's going to require a lot of work. That's also going to mean that it's going to be a lot of rural electrification. We've been very fortunate that we have very strong international partners who have worked with us to build mini grids. The EU has done a lot of work has been the main contributor to building our 100 mini grids. The President has given us a target to build another 300 mini grids in the shortest within this term. And we also have various other rural electrification projects that are based on using the CLSG transmission line and the northern and southern transmission lines to connect villages to electricity. So there's a lot of opportunity also to work with EDSA we see in the future. In many other countries, a company like EDSA has a project management unit or a privatization unit that gives subcontracts to smaller electricity construction companies that will go out and they can build the grid, for example, in Songo, and then EDSA will have a financial arrangement with them to pay them off for building the grid in Songo. And we see an example of this in countries close to Senegal, where there's a Senegalese company that builds out the grid for Senelec, and then Senelec pays that company as the grid is building out. So there's a lot of private participation and public-private partnerships that we're looking at that we believe will enable us to meet our targets faster. Because if we're just going to wait for government of Sierra Leone money or working with donors, some of those processes can take longer than our people need to receive service. So we're looking at private sector to work with us to achieve what we're looking to achieve. And there are various opportunities again to work with EDSA around DC. As I mentioned, solar mini grids, we have 100 existing solar mini grids. We just signed an agreement with the EU for another 62 mini grids, and we hope that before the end of His Excellency Madam Yo's term, we can build at least 300 additional mini grids. We have already started trading power with our neighbors. So as I mentioned, we currently receive 20 megawatts from Côte d'Ivoire through the CLSG line, but we want to increase that. The CLSG line can actually carry 200 megawatts. So the fact that we're only using 20, for us, it indicates an opportunity to buy more. The reason Dr. Yukela isn't with us today is because he's in Guinea right now, negotiating a potential agreement with Guinea to supply us electricity. I will likely be going to Senegal soon to also continue negotiations with them for supply. Last year, I had gone to Ghana to talk to them about supply. We had a visit from the Minister of Energy from Liberia last week, where he told us that Liberia gets 100% of its energy from its own generating sources, and anything that they don't have in Liberia, they they procure it by trading with their neighbors. So Liberia is buying 70 megawatts from Côte d'Ivoire, they're buying 35 megawatts from Guinea. And this is what the West Africa Power Pool is supposed to be used for. So really where we see our future is focusing on our internal assets, and anything that we don't have, we should look to power trade with the region. This has become very long-winded. This other area that we'll be investing in or we'll be looking for private sector partners is the area of warehousing. EDSA doesn't have enough warehouses, so we'll be looking to create a warehouse network across the country. We're also going to be working with private sector companies to develop a service center for EDSA transformers and other equipment. Right now, because we don't have the skills in country, anytime there's an issue with an EDSA transformer, they end up buying a new transformer. In other countries, when there's an issue with a transformer, they can rehabilitate it and put it back into the field. So that's another area where we want to save costs for EDSA. And so we've already received a proposal from a company interested in doing a study to see whether we can build a transformer and other equipment service center. And finally, we're talking to various partners around financial services or financial products that EDSA needs, whether it's an app for large customers to track your consumption and your payments, or whether it's payment processing software and other software to enhance efficiency and to enhance our services. And with that, I know it's been a long presentation and maybe it's been a bit boring. Definitely a lot of information. I hope that this has given you food for thought. I hope that this has shown you that we do and we have put a lot of thoughts into the work that we do every day, and that we are taking the steps to make sure that we can improve service delivery for you and for all of us. I thank you very much. We are going to have Dr. Yukela call in from Guinea and say a few words for us. O'Shea?
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Put our hands together once again for our deputy. Minister of Energy One, such a wonderful presentation, which is open the MPs, and of course, on behalf of the chairman of EGCC, who is on to us here, Dr. Guinea, just like what he said, stepped in on his behalf. Thank you so much, DM1. Please be patient with us while we try to connect our chairman to make his statement.
Sorry, I just wanted to correct. I mentioned the 100 solar mini-grids were financed by the EU, but they were actually financed by the UK government. So if there are any UK government officials there, I apologize. But I just wanted to correct. Thank you. We are waiting for Dr. Yukela to join. And then after he speaks, we'll have a question and answer session where you can ask us questions and also communicate to us any concerns. As you can see, the event was structured in a very open format. We didn't just come here to talk at you and then you leave. We want you to be honest, by the way. We know that there have been a lot of issues in EDSA. Over the last 3 weeks, I've had at least 5 people who are T4 customers approach me and Dr. Yukela and leadership directly with very serious complaints. So you can speak freely. This, not only today, but this entire 6-month exercise where we'll be visiting your locations and we'll be talking to you, is not being done to target anybody. It will also be done with the strictest confidentiality. If we go to your location and there's an issue, this is not something that anybody is going to use to start broadcasting on social media. Oh, we're at this person's location, or we're at this business location, this is what has happened, that is what has happened, blah, 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 blah. That's not what we're here for. We're here to be we're here as your partners. We know that some of the issues that have happened in the sector only happened because within our sector, our own people have enabled things to happen. So we don't blame you, we blame ourselves, essentially. So let's be honest, and let's look at this point in time as an opportunity for us to press reset. We really do want to ensure that we're fair with you as our customers and our partners, and that you view EDSA, Ministry of Energy, as reliable and fair parties or to deal with. Is it okay? To join. So we're just waiting a few more minutes for Doc to join.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah. Should I go ahead?
yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, our revered customers and clients of EDSA. I'm very pleased that the leadership of the energy sector is meeting with you. I am not in Freetown because I came out on urgent mission for His Excellency the President, and which I am almost concluding here now. I want to thank Chairman Kylie, and the interim Fed for working for customers of a dialogue. And we hope that we will be doing this as often as necessary. Allow me to emphasize a few quick points. We need a well-functioning EDSA to ensure that you, our business people, and our citizens can receive sustainable, reliable, affordable energy services. And for EDSA to work well, we need to reform it aggressively. Everybody knows the problems with EDSA. The current leadership, including Chairman Kylie, myself, Deputy Minister One, and the Chief Operating Officer you have there, were all new to the system. We've not done 1 year yet. We've done a month between all of us, 7, 8, 9 months. Under the leadership of His Excellency the President, we're very determined to do structural and systemic reforms of the whole power sector, including EDSA. And since we came in, we've been doing studies on EDSA. We have 4 studies in our hands, looking at the losses of EDSA, looking at operational inefficiencies, looking at how to enhance its capabilities, looking at its own commercial operations and metering. We ask to meet with you so that we can share the vision that the reforms of EDSA will be aggressive, they will be intrusive, meaning together with the board of EDSA and the Ministry of EDSA jointly, we will pursue very aggressive reforms under the leadership of His Excellency the President. We have to do this for the sake of your businesses, uninterrupted, reliable bank. Right now, EDSA's debts are anywhere from $90 to $100 million. EDSA is supposed to collect $8 to $10 million a month. EDSA collects about $5 million. Your business people, do the math. any business that is losing 60 to 70% of its revenue is not fit for purpose. We are determined under the leadership of the President to change that. This is the beginning. As you can see, we're together, ministry and EDSA management and EDSA board. That's how we're going to march forward. We've developed a plan that will verify metering. We've developed a plan where we'll put boots on the ground. Part of my job is there to mobilize money for the energy sector. And we're very poised to mobilize significant resources to invest in the whole supply chain of the energy sector. Today we're in crisis that is a 30-year in making. We are determined that yes, we will lay the foundation for a smooth transition to sustainable and affordable power. The Deputy Minister will talk to you. I know all of you are wondering what is going to happen tonight. Will the power go off? What I can assure you of on behalf of the President, the whole of Freetown will not be in blackout. The whole of Freetown will not be in blackout. We will be as in town all night today. We'll be monitoring together. We have put systems in place. If anything, Freetown will lose maybe 15-20% power. We'll rotate, we'll load share. We need to make a sacrifice now, to get out of the debt trap that we're in. We need to make that sacrifice now, not tomorrow. And under the leadership of His Excellency the President, we will. To assure you, there is no need for panic. It's reasonably well, not very well, but reasonably well. Blessed, and will manage this process. And we will double the supply of power into Freetown. We will. I'm not saying we may or we might. We will. We will double power, maybe even more than double power into Freetown. But meanwhile, we need EDSA to be profitable. We need your collaboration. We need your support. Yeah? So, Engineer Nuni will give you the details of what we plan to do. We need your idea, your business people. EDSA is supposed to be a business. We have to run it as a business. I give you two examples. The Liberian Deputy Minister visited us for a week last week. In Liberia, they were able to reduce losses by 30% in 2 years. They were determined to do it and they did it. In Liberia, they're buying energy from Guinea and from Cote d'Ivoire. They don't have tap power ship. In Liberia, all government ministries are on prepaid meters, and they pay their bills. In Sierra Leone, government buildings don't pay. This is untenable. Today, government owes the ministry over $20 million. The ministry owes NRA $13 million. Do the math. This is untenable. We've got to change the system. The system to work so you can do your business in peace. For some of you will see the studies. That is your favorite. It is not fair to you. It is not an opportunity to fix it. Which we do that. This is the beginning of a dialogue. We need your collaboration. My test will go on. Second example, 30%. They want to put it below 20. In Sierra Leone, our losses are 60 to 70%. That cannot happen. We will change that. We will learn from our neighbors. Issue a letter to say They will transition from gas power to cheaper sources. They're buying power from Guinea and from Senegal. Guinea-Bissau, January this year, they did the same. They said we can't afford gas power, we're buying from Guinea wide, 15 cents instead of 22 cents. Our government in Sierra Leone by over $30 million because EDSA is not working well. Finance has to step in. Our dream, and it is possible, in the next 3 years, yes, we will not government subsidies for power. Instead, improvement. Liberia's version of EDSA pays for their energy trade directly. They don't go to the Ministry of Finance. In our case, we have to run for 9 months. Finally, every revolution is disruptive. It has to be disruptive. You have to change the old order if you want a new order. You have to take very difficult, tough decisions. And that is what President Leone is trying to do. And I have been successfully executing that together with colleague ministers. We want EDSA board, EDSA chairman, acting CEO, acting DG, all to collaborate with us. We will be inclusive. Revolution means inclusiveness because the change must happen. The 40 years of the same system is not working. So as you see, just to get
Hello? Yeah, I think we have some difficulties with the technology. So on that note, we'll stop here for now. From the statement being made by our chairman, of course, it is food of thought for all of us here. With regards to the energy sector, which we all have to absorb and map the way forward. So at this point, we are now coming to another session, which is the Q&A. Of course, we all know what is Q&A, questions and answers if you have concern, especially the Tier 4 customers who are here. But that notwithstanding, we need few people to be on the high table here, or to form the panel. One, of course, will be, when I call you, please come forward. One is our Deputy Minister of Energy, Mr. Edmund Muni. Welcome, sir. Two is the Chairman, EDSA Board of Directors, Engineer Andukaili. We'll also call on the COO, Chief Operating Officer, who also doubles as the Acting Director General of EDSA, Mr. Eze. Sorry if I didn't get your name right. Tesman. Then I think finally we'll have a representative from the Tier 4 customers. Then we'll have one Mr. Gati Kamara, the MBA for Hotel Barmoy. You are cordially invited to have a seat. Mind you, this session will last for 30 minutes, please. So I hope the concerns, the questions we'll be posing will not be repetitive. Yeah, so at least we'll save time, and I know some of us have another official engagements to attend to after here. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, everyone. I guess I to moderate this. I think we'll start first and foremost with questions from the audience. So there should be a mic that's available. If anyone has a question, please feel welcome to signal and ask.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I am fully creative. We are the proprietors of Hotel 510. This hotel is owned by teachers located at the east part of Freetown. It is good that we are here and we have been adequately educated about the operations of EDSA. But we have some concerns about the AMI meters. The AMI meters do not give readings to us, the customers. There are no readings given to us. And at times, the bills that are given to us from these AMI meters are interpreted by EDSA head office, and they will just give us bills exorbitant. For example, for a month, Hotel 510 will pay about 76,000 Leones a month. At times, it goes up more than that, because the meters do not give readings and we pay. And when you look at that location where the hotel is located, it is not business oriented. And as a result, I am glad to hear from you that prepaid meters will be distributed in due course. Where readings will be given to us, and then we know how we can pay. Let me come to this car power shipping. You know, the last time, over 1 or 2 years ago, you have problem with car power shipping. And I am surprised that of date, you have paid up to $320 million in the past 3 years. Don't you think that amount can buy a power ship for Sierra Leone? Don't you think so? And even if it is more than that, if that amount, as you are saying, by the next 3 years, you go to 200 million, and we continue to use the car power ship, don't you think $320 million that we have already paid, plus if negotiations continue and continue to use the power in the next 2 to 3 years, we give another 200 million. Don't you think also that this 520 billion can buy us a power ship? Why should we continue to give profit to people, foreign investors? All they have to do is to buy fuel and put to that car and they get a lot of profit from us. So we have to go back to the drawing board and see what we can do as a nation. Is it now that you are getting the experience from Liberia and our country? You spoke about Liberia. For the past 2-3 years, they have been having supply from neighboring countries. Why now are you going to tell us that you have learned experience from Liberia and our countries? Where are we heading, Sierra Leone? What is wrong with our leaders of this country? Are we not thinking wisely and so that we continue to have sustainable electricity? Since independence, we are struggling with electricity. Some countries are not thinking about electricity again, like Ivory Coast. So, my own conclusion here is, you have to work hard. You have to think around the box so that we can move as a nation. I am not pessimistic. I want to be speaking for Sakadio, but we are not putting our priorities right. Let us work. Sierra are very, very disappointed that today most parts of Africa will not take light. And as a nation, we are disappointed. I thank you for your attention.
So now I'm in there. So pass you the waka. Sam?
Hello. I just want to add a small opinion. This kind of business is the essential item at some electricity. Electricity is the light, because without light we cannot see anything. So maybe everyone should have to put in the mindset and make the mindset. We have to work for the nation, and we have to be honestly use the electricity and pay the bill on time, honestly. So that is my opinion, and dedicate to the country and honestly add value for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Honorable Abdul Munir Lansana, currently the Admin Manager for Gentle Port and Mines. Having listened to the speakers here, my worry, or our worry as an entity, is the fact that today again we are being told of another plan of privatization. Since start to now, we have not seen any changes that private entity are bringing to us. Because what we've seen, the very private company that are coming are employing the very Sierra Leoneans and developing stringent measures that will make them deliver. Why not us as a nation employ these very measures to ensure we get the results we need that these private companies are bringing? And therefore, if EDSA is planning this again, for us, we are seeing it as another method of blood to exploit this nation. So therefore, I am advising that we get a measure to ensure the very system the private companies are using will employ similar system to get the results we need. In addition to what I'm going to say here is the mechanism EDSA is planning to put in place, especially for bigger energy users. We've seen, in different ways, entities are having 2 meters, one that is going for government and the other one for somebody somewhere in EDSA, collecting that bill, directly going into his pockets. When it is time for operation, the meter is switched to his own meter. And then where 1 billion or 2 billion is supposed to go to government, he collects 20 million and the remainder is going free. And government is losing a lot for that. So therefore we are asking what modalities is EDSA putting in place to ensure that that does not continue. And also the response mechanism. For instance, I have been serving in Gentle Group of Company for a year plus now as the admin manager. And there was a time we got a bill. Our previous billing is showing 0 balance, and the current billing that entered was, in addition to our previous billing that was 0, a plus. Since September last year, I wrote series of correspondences. I was only responded to in this March when I directed my letter directly to EDSA, to Yunkela. So therefore, I am advising or asking that EDSA work on that to ensure the response mechanism is worked on. And Today we've heard of the car bar ship going down. What I'm advising EDSA to do is the fact that EDSA copied the system of Guma. We, for instance, in our community, we are sure of getting water supply on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. We are very confident with that. We have no problem. So if EDSA could copy similar, when Guma is giving us water on Monday, supply us light on the very Monday so that we pump our tanks and load our tanks. We call our foods that we'll be using for the weeks. So we know EDSA will be coming again on Wednesday together with Guma. So we'll be very satisfied with that. So let us have a working mechanism together. Rather than we are not sure, we are not certain of when energy supply will come. So that what happens, our foods are being destroyed. So let's have a mechanism, let's have a plan. Let's be sure you work with Guma together. When Guma is supplying us water, you supply us light. So that we pump our tanks, our freezers are being cooled down, and then if you take the light and we know Wednesday again you are coming, we are sure that our blocks will keep our food cold. And finally, the aspect of the billing system, please. We are starting up Gentle Group Port and Mines, the Banana Island project. In the establishment we are creating, just our office, we have 15 ACs. At the moment, because we've not opened up employment yet, we are just using 7. That 7, our bill is almost 30 million in a month. 13,000 euros. Assuming we now start using the 15 ACs plus our apartments that we have established for expatriates that will be having over 30 AC. I wonder what will be our bill at the end of the day. It's like we'll be working for EDSA. Thank you.
Okay,
good morning.
Before we continue, maybe let's respond to those first 3. Before I go to EDSA for AMI, I know that Ms. Kani Kamara had an experience also with AMI, so maybe you can speak to that before we go to EDSA.
Good afternoon, everybody. Likewise, as the gentleman who first spoke, I'm also in the hospitality industry, the MD and one of the owners for Hotel Bamon. So similarly, as maybe a lot of you in the room, we had we experienced very high bills and consumption readings after the new AMI meter was installed back in, I want to say 2023, around mid-20, correct? Mohammed? 2024. Sorry, July 2024. And those, so we saw a big jump despite the change in the tariff. What was alarming to us was the consumption readings, which we were certain could not be accurate. So the approach that we took, and we engaged with EDSA over a long period of time, over a year. But for me and the leadership at the hotel, we see EDSA as our partners. You know, we're in Sierra Leone, we have to face these challenges, we have to work with the agencies to reach solutions and conclusion. So we engaged them over a long period of time, but what we have done consistently, even before the introduction of the AMI meter, is to collect data. We collect our meter readings daily, we collect our generation usage daily, we collect our fuel purchase and consumption. Right now we don't have solar, so our only backup is diesel generators. And we were able to compile that data, and every time we saw issues with the AMI, we engaged EDSA, brought our data, sat down with them, encouraged them to bring their readings as well, and do comparisons. And through that engagement, ultimately, we were successful in getting that meter assessed, and like the minister said, and the CEO said, they have no issues with some of those meters and the calibration. They recognized that, and then they acted promptly to replace them with prepaid meters, which to date are working better for us. We have more confidence in the readings with the prepaid meters.
CEO, maybe you can respond to the AMI issue. No, there's a mic, Chairman.
Thank you all. I will talk on the question on the AMI of excessively high billing and customer not understanding the ratio or criteria of the readings of the meter. Actually, meter readings are captured in kilowatt hour, and T4 stands for tariff band number 4. So you are one of on the high side of consumption. T1 is for the domestic customers. T2 is for the big domestic household. Then we have the T3 that refers to the government and other states loan parastatal, and then for the industrial commercial, they fall under the tariff number band number 4. So the charge per tariff band is in the public space. It ranges between 18 and 22, 24 equivalent of cents, US cents. So we know there are cases of overbilling of 40, 60 ratings, but in most cases we advise customers to manage their energy consumptions. Being on postpaid, it's a very difficult to manage your consumptions. We have cases where households travel, the ACs and the fridges are on. So all these account for some excessive billing in your understanding. So I would like this customer to register his complaint at the customer care desk outside with the customer name and meter number. That will enable us to do a proper analysis of the integrity of this meter. And within the working days, we're going to write you to explain exactly what's the condition of this meter. It is the accuracy is good, or if you recommend the meter replacement or whatsoever solution we can offer. We are very open to written and given transparent manner to give you the assurance that you are not being judged or overbilled. I think the chairman will respond on the other issue of aspects of privatization and why it's not embarked on the projects or buying the power plants instead of relying on car powership.
Honorable Minister, with your permission, I'll touch on a few of the issues very quickly. Tesman has explained on the issue of AMI meters. We're not trying to defend ourselves. We have had independent checks, and some of them are overreading. They're not reading correctly. So we'll try to correct that. The tests were done on the feeders and other lines. We have to do some more checks in premises. We've had complaints from customers. All I'm saying is if the customer is not satisfied, you call EDSA, and I told the CEO, we have a responsibility to go and check your meters. They were not, some of them were not well calibrated. We have to hold up on that. The question on privatization, I agree with you, Honorable, that we could run things better because it's the same Iranians that they use it. But let me mention something to you. It's not the personnel, it's the oversight provided and the culture in which they are operating. I worked in Sierra Leone, and the same fitters, engineers that were wrecking EDSA, Susan 4, Susan 5, and so on, used to work in our powerhouse and make it run 24 hours a day. So it depends on the culture in the institution. It depends, you can't have too much government interference into an institution. You have to be fair as to who you put as supervisors. They have to have the money to run the place. So that's why it's not a question of personnel. It's a question of oversight and the culture of the organization. I fully support privatization. It's not to say that that is the answer, but that is the start, and that oversight provided will be better. On the issue of meters being bypassed and so on, very soon, if we get the PSP in, or if we have enough money to do our monitoring and putting the hard on EDSA people to say, these people have been complaining for weeks and we've done nothing about it. So it's an internal problem. We concede. I'm not trying to defend EDSA, I will never do that. On the question of scheduling for Kuma, I totally agree with you. We introduced a load sharing program and we try to schedule the limited amount of power that we have. Our people, some of them are not behaving well. When people are not supposed to get power, they give them. And there is collusion also on the part of some of the consumers enticing our people to give them power when they're not supposed to have that. So that's a disciplinary problem, and we agree that Guma does it better than we do. The high bills of the AMI have already responded to that. Privatization have responded to that. But I think your concerns are very valid, and we're glad that you bring in some of these issues up. I think the supervision, the oversight, the whistleblower policy, having independent people review what you're doing, I think all of those are on the cards. But those are very good comments.
Thank you so much, Chairman and CEO. I want to hand the mic over to Mrs. Sarah Thomas, because she can speak a little to a new initiative that EDSA is working on, which is to decentralize customer management. What we have existing is that the call center is based in EDSA HQ, Electricity House. But what we're working towards is to have several call centers that are in various locations across Freetown. So then you have, like, for example, I know one of them is supposed to be Black Hole Road, I think. But you'll have the locations, and essentially what will happen is your call center now will be closer to you in the area where you live or you operate. And please introduce yourself to start.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Thomas. I am the head of the call center at EDSA. One of the priorities we have now is that our customers are key, and they're very important to us, and we want to ensure that you feel free to contact us at whatever time you want to talk to us. We're going to decentralize the customer care centers, and we'll be having one at Wellington, another one at Blackwell Road, another one at Gold Beach, and the HQ will have the main center. This is for you to access us quickly and to respond to your queries as fast as we can. Some of these queries will be sent back to HQ because probably they will not be addressed at the outlets. But we want to ensure that, as the chairman has said, within 3 days we should be able to tell you what it is. We'll not be able to give some answers spontaneously, but we can address some of your technical and non-technical problems as easy as possible. The telephone line is going to be 672 as it is. And at the same time, we're working to have a chat box where you'll be able to talk to us in real time and we'll be able to answer some of your questions. But soon we'll let you know those different aspects and when they're up and running. But we believe by the end of June, 1st of July, we should have all those customer centers in place.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Thomas. I'll speak a little bit also to the car power issue. As I mentioned when we started, it's been a long relationship. It's been a necessary relationship when it started. You are right that that amount of money is enough money to purchase or to invest in other power generation assets. That amount of money is an amount that could have gone into hydro, or it could have gone into constructing a new power plant takes time. And what was done by the leadership at the time was to ensure that we gave our people electricity. Because what our people can't have is, I don't know, another light, and then you tell them, oh wait, for 2 years we're building this, but for the next 2 years they can't have ours. So that's the reason why power was brought in. Fortunately, as I mentioned in the presentation, a lot of the projects that we've been working on, they're maturing now. So we'll have 40 megawatts for that His Excellency Vice President launched last year. Construction of that 40 megawatts in Newton will be ready in December. We have a tender for another 100 megawatts for Freetown that will also be ready by December, January. We have the gas power project that I mentioned that will be ready in 2 years. So it's not that we purposely went for an expensive power option. We went for the fastest available power at that time to get electricity to all of us to be able to function whilst we were building a medium-term and long-term solutions. And now it's good that the medium-term and long-term solutions have become available. For the same reasons that you highlighted, high expenditure, we can allocate that money in other areas. For those same reasons is why we've been taking a second and third look at the power contract and whether or not we're going to continue the relationship. I continue to reiterate, we're not trying to demonize anybody here. They came to do business. We were willing participants in the transaction. We received power from them. We received electricity from them. It was the electricity that all of us used for the last 5, 6 years. So it's not that they're bad people or it's us versus them. They were a good supply partner whilst they've been operating. For the obvious financial constraints that the country is facing, we're definitely restructuring where we're taking power from, and we're prioritizing the least cost power options. That being said, the way how you treat one IPP or one supplier informs other suppliers how you're going to treat them. So we're doing what we're supposed to do as government, which is to be a responsible partner to strategically transition from the more expensive options into the cheaper options. And that's going to be done with dialogue. That's going to be done by ensuring that they understand that the money that is owed to them will be paid. We'll definitely structure something that is fair for them and for us. Whilst we're engaging with various new partners to start using these cheaper options, as well as we're seeing our options that we've been building come to completion and come into operation. So again, as a country, as a government, we're ensuring that we're taking the responsible steps to make sure that as we're making these changes, we're not making these changes in a knee-jerk way. We're making these changes in a way where it will cause as little discomfort for our people as possible. So that's why we have this approach of having this relationship with them. But it's very clear to both us and them that the relationship needs to be looked at, and the relationship may be coming to an end, or is likely coming to an end. But we're definitely going to do that in an amicable and responsible manner. Just like many other countries have done. This year we saw very friendly letter from the government of Gambia informing the public that they will no longer be using Power as a supplier. Power also replied with a very amicable letter saying thank you for the opportunity to serve you for all of these years, and we continue to be a power provision partner that's out there to serve West African. So, in as much as the relationship is changing, we're not trying to do this in a manner where it's adversarial. We're doing it responsibly, and we're doing it with caution and in a strategic manner. So we will communicate officially when we sat down with all parties, and we now confirm what the next steps are going to be. The presentation I did was to inform you of all of the facts, because what has been going out on social media has been a lot of misinformation. So that was us just laying the facts bare. And I think I'm happy now that a lot of you now have more context around what we're dealing with, what we've done, what other parties have been able to do. And by parties, I mean other people, other individuals have been able to do, and what we're doing moving forward. So with that, I'd like us to go back to the room and take more questions.
Good afternoon all. I'm Edwin Kamara from Commerce and Mortgage Bank. We are in a financial institution. I'm making a contribution. We usually pay since the transition from the prepaid to AMI meter infrastructure from September. We have been honoring our bills. But the problem we have with EDSA is the reconciliation. I came with my swift copies here. Made about 200,000 payments, which did not reflect in our previous meter. I've written a letter to the general manager. I copied the director of commercial of commercial. Then, furthermore, when we are migrating from prepaid to AMI, there was a credit balance of 30,000, which was migrated. I also wrote that letter to EDSA that it should be returned, but up till now, we did not have any response from them. Sir, I would also like to contribute that the problem with EDSA, which I found out, is the reconciliation. Management should emphasize on reconciliation. They should have a team of staff which will spend their day to work in reconciling. Since you said the system is integrated with the bank, they should do reconciliation on a daily basis so that they can bill customers appropriately. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Ibrahim Sohi Samura, a customer. My own question I want to ask is, for the past year we EDSA signed this agreement with the car power. They're not don't foresee and get a solution to the problem before this term, because for me it's a total negligence. It's like, I know my rent will be ending in the next coming year. I should be putting everything in place to make sure I pay before my term or tenure expires. So, if we're here talking about the way forward, it's like year in, year out, we're still rounding in a circle of discussing the same thing without no solution. For the past 7 or 6 years of this government, we still be struggling with electricity. Why is it that the electricity or the Ministry of Energy has not been putting a proper roadmap to say, year 1 to year 8, this is our roadmap, this is where we're going to work from plan A to plan B to plan C. But yet, year in, year out, we keep talking about contract. We have our hydro dam, which probably we don't say, boom boom and pass the world, or no, no, if not, so it don't be. But it's good for let we change their rhetorics and let we move forward. And I want to also appeal, let this meeting come on at their room there and go to the communities, because here are more big stakeholders than they are. There are a lot of community people who know they understand, no, and neither know they sabi what they happen power electricity business. So I encourage the Ministry of Energy for take this engagement for go down to the local community like Wanusa and the Aberdeen community, because the loss is not just with the big companies. There are a lot of people with the thief lights in our communities them because the cost too expensive for them for purchase. You know, imagine they buy 200, you get 22 units for a local person. How we go there for manage in that process? So more education needs to be done to the communities rather than we just keeping the meeting in this room. So I'm encouraging, let's take the meeting out to communities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. I'm Honorable David George Suriba, representing Shalima Trading Royal Fitness. I have two concerns. The very first one I want to bring on floor is about these MDAs and the ministries. Year in, year out, when these ministries and MDAs, they rush to Parliament on appropriation bills. What I mean, they go to Parliament and request for monies, but yet still, they are not paying their light bills. Most of these monies, Parliament is approving, which we call the appropriation bill. Some are utility bills, but yet still they are not paying their electricity, water, and so on. They are not paying these bills. I'm appealing to the new body, for somebody as a chairman who I know, somebody who is an action-taking man, why can't you disconnect these ministries and MDs? We heard what the Mr. Kanda Yunkala said through his phone discussion, that these people are burning these lights, they are not paying. Why can't you disconnect them? And my second appeal is about these EMI meters. Why are these EMI meters coming now? I have two examples here. I can produce two papers here. This is my very first time of hearing about income, import and export bills. For just a single meter, you will see them bringing bills. When you want to argue, they say, this is the import bill and this is the export bill. So we want them to explain to us, what is the export bill? And what is this import bill? Are we importing for car power? So I want them to answer these questions. Most of these questions have been answered. I think my colleague here brought some questions, some relevant issues. And I had the deputy one, he answered most of these questions, so I don't want to repeat them. But we have a lot of constraints with these EMI meters. For 30 months, they will bring 500 million, 500,000. The time they don't even consume, maybe the consumption is not even high. For some other times, when you know that the consumption is high, they will bring 25 million. Is it the magic? We want to know how they are calculating these bills. We want to know how they are calculating these bills. The EMI meters, only EDSA are capable of reading them. What about the customers? Why can't you have provision for customers how to read these bills? Give us time, educate us, tell us how are you reading these bills. Because we don't have no confidence in these bills again. Maybe the body that is there now will start doing things better. I'm appealing to chairman, please, for replying to letters. I don't want to repeat it again. Because I don't care you write 100 times, nobody will reply you. You want, you can copy whosoever you want to copy. They will not reply you. And whenever somebody is writing a letter, it's a concern. You have to reply that individual. Tell him, okay, or you call the person to a meeting. But this has never happened. So now I'm appealing to this new body. Please, 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 Mr. Chairman, put your cards in the right basket. We are with you guys. We want electricity. We know that so many people are stealing electricity in this country. And the bills that are coming are not appropriate. They are not to our standard. Please, these are my two concerns. I thank you very much.
We'll take one more question and we'll come back to CEO and Chairman.
Good afternoon all.
Some of the responses.
I'm Francis Oma from NASIT. I'm talking in relation to the finances. Because initially, for us at NASIT, we are having prepaid meter in our offices. And with prepaid meter, we are very comfortable in paying our bills. So at the end of the day, EDSA went to us saying they want to introduce this AMI meter. We thought AMI meter is coming to make us more comfortable, not knowing that this AMI meter is another thing around. They are sending us bills which we cannot able to even interpret. Like for instance, even the facility where we are presently sitting, we have been going to EDSA for us to regularize the bill which they have sent for us, because when we were having the prepaid meter for a month, what they normally send to us, like the billing, we used to have 2,872 kilowatts per month, the highest. Not until when this AMI is around now, we started experiencing 25,000 kilowatts per hour. When at the end of the day, we are having the same equipment in this facility, and this facility is a business entity. So at the end of the day, if we as NASIT, because we are using people's fund, pensioners' fund, so if we are there to pay such amount of money, I think it's troublesome for we NASIT, because pensioners at the end of the day, they will come after us. The money that we are paying is not our own personal money. So it's a great concern for us, which I want EDSA to able to help us to know how we can regularize this payment. And secondly, we are paying bills. And when they are sending other subsequent bills in the month, they are not omitting the payment. It's not reflecting. It's still double to the bills. It's another concern I want EDSA to rectify for us. I thank you.
Good afternoon. Just to piggyback on what my colleague have said, I think there's a member of the panel. How did you rectify, I think the lady was, how did you rectify your issues with overbilling with the AMI? Because we've established that there's a problem with the AMI, right? As for us right now, I think we haven't paid since November, and we want to pay. But I can't pay a bill that I know is absolutely incorrect. I can't pay a bill. I was burning, like my colleague said, 2,872 to 25,000. My bill last month was 217 plus GST. You're looking at you chasing 250. So how did you rectify it, and how can we rectify it with collaboration with the ministry and EDSA? So we can start paying our current bills. That's my question.
So I think you're definitely on the right track. And similarly, we saw those huge jumps in kilowatt hours, which obviously translated to Leone's as well. And like you were getting bills to the tune of 200,000 a month for just a 32-room hotel. So to answer your question, I think you're on the right track in terms of data. To me, you can't hide behind data. So data collection, so tracking your usage over a long period of time, if you know what your usage was with prepaid. What I took to the ministry, and I appreciate the efforts of some of the panelists here, the CEO and the deputy minister, because they were open to seeing the data, as were other people in EDSA. Yes, you know, we all feel the same pain. But what I say, we get the AMI actually in July 2023. And right away, within a 2-month period, we saw these jumps. And we wrote a lengthy letter, we kept banging at the door, we kept going, we kept meeting with the head of revenues, the head of the commercial department at the time. And eventually they sat down with us, the DG at the time, we looked at, they did their own analysis based on what we were seeing, and we reconciled. Once we reconciled, there was some credit that they owed us, but there was also outstanding on our part, so we agreed to a payments plan. Fast track to 2024, we started seeing issues again. So to answer your question, it was engagement, persistent writing, persistent going there, but ultimately being able to paint a picture using the data to say, look, you know, we've done, and also doing our own independent assessment. So EDSA sent their own engineer to come and look at the meter. We also had engineers, electricians came on site, looked at our equipment, confirmed that there wasn't any huge discrepancies over the length of time we're looking at. So even though we identified areas where we had current leakage, it wasn't to the point that it would result in the readings we were seeing on our bill at the end of the day.